Welcome back to the 19th hole. Thank you guys all for tuning in this week. Jake, joined here by Mike this week. We're going to give you a rundown of the Genesis Scottish Open this week. We're going to recap a bit of the fifth major, the John Deere Classic. And, we're also going to talk about our families because family matters, especially the IBT golf family. If you guys are not members of the golf family, it's a free to join way to gain access to chatting with our analysts, memorabilia giveaways, as well as potentially our betting cards. Our free membership gets you those chats, gets you those memorabilia giveaways, gets you into our one and done contests. But our upgraded membership for $3.99 a month or $36 for the year gains you access to our exclusive weekly betting model and our full betting cards. We're up over 100 units on the golf side of things, not to count the fact that this doesn't just get you membership to the golf family. You also gain access to the football family, racing, and entertainment families where we're also up healthy. So don't forget to check that out. But Mike, what do you say we go ahead and break down Chris Gotterup's third win of the year?
I love the JDC. Bring it on.
As we alluded to, Chris Gotterup, he is the big green champion. I was going for big green tractor. It was as close as I could get, but Chris Gotterup able to secure his third win of the year. Did it in exactly the fashion that I kind of expect Chris Gotterup to win a tournament by doing. He was the best driver of the golf ball in the field, solid around the green, solid putting, and was generally fine on approach, but lost strokes to the field, still ahead of average, surprisingly, 52nd in strokes gained approach to green. But dude had a 83% scrambling. He tied 8th putts and greens per regulation. He T10 in birdies, T10 in eagles, but third least bogeys of the week. And I think that's really the story of the John Deere Classic is score and don't make big numbers and you have a good chance to win.
There really isn't a lot of places to make big numbers on this golf course, except that I saw a number of them. I mean, I think Ben Griffin threw up a quad in round one.
Yep.
And eventually we'll get to my guy, UVA alum Ben Coles, and what he took care of on 18 here at some point. But yeah, Chris Gotterup, there's so many good takes. I mean, I think we've talked about this year about playing your game, swinging your swing, and Chris Gotterup does so much of that every single week. And I think it's just a testament to he is a true gamer. He knows how to get the ball in the hole. He doesn't care what it looks like. He hits some funky shots out there. But that's ultimately wins golf tournaments. And if you remember the other guy, the number one in the world, Scotty Scheffler, how he wins golf tournaments is swinging his swing. Yep. And so I think it's just a reminder to all of us of like, stop obsessing over the details and learn how to win. And you knew it was coming. The waterworks, Chris Gotterup, anytime he wins and gets on camera, he can barely get a sentence out. And this time he's with his brother on his bag. I love that. His brother's taking time off of work to come out and caddy for you talked about family, just a family first event in the Quad Cities here in the Midwest. And it all the stars align and he gets his fourth win of his career, fourth in the last 12 months this week, right?
Sixth professional win. I think it is his fourth on the PGA Tour, sixth overall. Right. But I like that you brought up, the location in the Quad Cities. There's talks of this tournament moving to Medina, moving back out my direction, but the Quad Cities is home to me, really. That's where my dad is born. It's where my dad's family still lives. And I think part of what makes the John Deere Classic so special is, John Deere is headquartered right down the road from where the tournament is held. It's built up, half the people in attendance are like my aunt and uncle, not golf watchers, don't play golf, anything like that. They go to the event because we're, my grandpa worked for John Deere for so long, and I think it'd be a disservice to move this golf tournament. But do you think, does the prestige of Medina or prestige of something more central Illinois, closer to the city, a little bit bigger town vibes, does that, the benefit of the golf course outweigh the environment that gets built around a John Deere Classic?
This is the first note I wrote down when I was thinking about the takeaways from the JDC this year and everything that's going on with the PGA Tour. I mean, we didn't really cover a ton of it, or else maybe it was in one of the shows it wasn't on around. Now we have the Challenger Series and the Challenger Series and the Champion Series, or whatever it's called.
Yep.
And we're moving into this bifurcated professional golf structure. And there was a lot of good takes about the quality of this event and the atmosphere it creates. And it starts with the community that surrounds this golf tournament. And you could play this golf tournament on a little Muni 9-hole, and the way that the community shows up defines the atmosphere. And for that is the reason that the John Deere Classic has created so many exciting finishes over the last handful of years. And it's because there's a buzz around this place. And I'm really worried. You talk about moving this tournament to Medina. This isn't just about the heartland, the Illinois, PGA Tour stop. This is about the whole PGA Tour trying to get into these exclusive venues and moving more events to places like Pine Valley and Cypress Point. And that's Seminole. And that's interesting from a golf sicko standpoint, but does for the middle America golf fan that cannot relate in any way to those golf courses or the people that play at those golf courses. And seeing those on TV are not going to make the average golf fan like professional golf more. It's putting it in accessible places like Deere Run or TPC Twin Cities, where the masses of golf fans can get there easily and see the best players in the world. And so we could start a whole different thing about what the future of pro golf was going to look like. I don't really care to watch Deere Run, but I care to watch this golf event because there's such a buzz and it means so much to the guys playing in it and the fans watching it. And that's it.
Yeah. And see, I have a nostalgia built into TPC Deere Run. I grew up playing that golf course. My grandpa worked there after he retired from John Deere. So it's just for me, there's a nostalgia to it. I recognize it's not the greatest golf course in the world, but how many golf courses on the PGA Tour can I get on for $150?
Not many.
So few. And going to, being in the prestigious clubs that are all around the country, it's awesome. It's cool. Us golf nerds, we love to see, stuff like that, courses that we will never see. But there's also something special about being able to play a golf course that you grew up watching, or you see the tournament every single year. You see the hype that gets built around it, and you're able to go play that course for not realistically too much more expensive, especially in Illinois. It's basically playing 2 rounds at my local club. If I could play TPC Deere Run for $80, absolutely would do it. $150 to get on there is really not bad whatsoever. And you're just not going to get that. I can't go play Medina whenever I want. I get to play it every year, but I can't go play it whenever I want. I know a member Pine Valley. I'm never going to step foot on Pine Valley more than likely in my life. So many courses I'm never going to be able to step foot on. And to me, there's something cool about that. But back to the tournament itself, it wasn't just the Chris Gotterup show. We see Max Homa coming in second place. Lucas Glover. I know you've got some thoughts on Lucas Glover.
I'm kind of done with Luke. I'm not a fan. And so he doesn't pull me in as the old guy that's competing with the young guns, and he's kind of had the second career. I don't even a Brent Snedeker fan, but I kind of like seeing Brent Snedeker come back more than Lucas Glover. And I think the thing that bothers me the most is that someone whispered in his ear at some point, "Hey, your last name's Glover. You should play without a glove." And then it'll be a funny joke on all the fans that your name is Glover and you don't have a glove. And, it's just everything about him annoys me. So I'm ready to be done. He can, Champions Tour his way out of here shortly.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool. I'm cool on him talking about aim point. We get it, dude. You don't like aim point. Fine. Okay. There's
Yeah,
validity
he's
to
like
it.
the
It
grumbly
works.
grandpa on the front porch, but the problem is he's like having a good PGA Tour career, and so we have to listen to him all the time.
Right. It's unfortunate, but it happens. As you mentioned, UVA alum Ben Coles gets right there
Yeah,
in contention.
things that also happen. Hooking an 8-iron into the water when you need par to force a playoff, and then yipping a 3-foot par or bogey putt for 350K. Those things happen, right? That's happened to you a couple times.
Once or twice.
Here, this is a serious question though. And yeah, I mean, I don't really like follow college golfers. Like, sure, there's a couple of guys on tour, like very fringe guys that went to UVA. Ben James, by the way, looks like the real deal. But Ben Coles, Denny McCarthy, Denny's had a good career, but Ben Coles has definitely been fringe. But sure, I'll cheer for the UVA guys. This has been a thing. I've seen this criticism. A lot of it's around Scotty. When they don't take care of the W, that it's this like very positive reaction in the press conference after the round, and it's all this positive self-talk, which I'm a huge proponent of. But do you think that these guys have to like develop more killer instinct and like really get some of that frustration, maybe kick a locker in an Oakmont or something like that to like build the calluses to come back and win? Like, is Ben Coles letting himself off the hook here?
I think part of it is probably just the increase of mental coaching in the sport and trying to, especially with golf, you hear it all the time when players talk about, the conversations with their caddies, where as a caddy, you can't say don't miss right. You say left is good. Like it's taking the negativity out of it so much that doesn't work for me. It just absolutely does not. I need to be like, no, I played like garbage. I'm going to go grind on the range. I'm going to hit 3,000 balls a day until my swing is back where I need it to be. That 8-iron was stupid. I missed that putt because I was so in my feelings and in my head. Like, that's how I need to talk to myself to get over an issue. And I don't know. I think it does like eliminate some of that killer instinct. But I think part of it that we have to remember is for a lot of these guys, like, yeah, winning's cool. But at the same time, like a lot of these guys are just trying to pay the bills, and professional golf happened to be the thing that got them there.
That actually, I believe that came up regarding Lee Hodges in the broadcast very subtly, that said he had absolutely no plans to be a professional golfer after he played. I think he played at Alabama with and that this is just what he does. And he's found himself as a PGA Tour winner. He's had enough good finishes to make some nice money. But yeah, you're right. Like for a lot of guys, like maybe this isn't the thing that they would do. And Kevin Kisner famously said it. They pay a lot of money for top 20.
Yeah. It's been, more in the media a bit too, in the golf media, I should say. I don't know if you follow like the Golf Tour that's going on YouTube, where it's like some of the biggest content creators
Actively not following.
I am. And it's actually really good. It's the most, it's competitive golf. Like the version that we got, the episode that we got today. So the first episode was basically there's 4 teams of 4 players, top YouTube golfers, all sticks, right? Like the worst guy in the field is like a plus 1.5, like all legitimately very good players. But they got to bring in a wild card. So Wesley brought in John Peterman, who was on the tour, or John Peterson, whichever one it
John
is.
Peterson, yeah.
John Peterson, who's got, 100 some tour events under his belt, 80 made cuts on the PGA Tour. And, he talked about it in an interview after this most recent episode aired, where it's like he brought up there's 15 to 20 guys that are playing for the record books, and the rest of us are just playing to pay their bills. He's like, and when golf wasn't paying my bills anymore, I went and did something else. And maybe that's the philosophy of a lot of these guys who say, I played great, I learned a lot, can't wait for next week. But I don't know. I can't see myself doing that. If I was competing on tour, I'd want to win. And I think that just goes,
especially when you're that close.
Yeah. I think it just goes through the different mentality. And like we've seen him win before, not on the PGA Tour, but he's got 5-6 Korn Ferry Tour wins. So
he does have
does he have a PGA Tour win?
I think he does. Didn't he win? I know he just won on Korn Ferry. Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't have a PGA Tour win.
No PGA Tour wins, but 5 Korn Ferry Tour wins. So, he's not unafraid to win. I mean, he didn't win from 2012 until 2023, so definitely took some time off there, but did win this year, just a few weeks, about a month ago, actually, on the Corn Ferry Tour. So, certainly a guy who can win.
I know we could probably consider this horse fed, but I do wonder. I mean, there's two mistakes he made on that hole. He didn't cost himself a win. He could have made birdie to win, and he certainly cost himself a chance to win in the playoff.
Right.
But he hits the ball in the water. Then he misses a 3-foot putt for $350,000. Now the win would have gotten him a two-year exemption on the PGA Tour. It's probably worth more than $350,000. But let's not forget the fact that that's a serious amount of cash that he missed. For honestly, like, there's no reason he should miss that putt. He's probably right, like going sideways in his head on what just happened, and so certainly forgiven. But I can't imagine what he's coming home to be like, just left a $350,000 paycheck on the table today.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the T3 is still good. It moved him up. He's within the top 100 in the FedEx Cup standings now. So if he continues to play well throughout the year, good things could continue to come his way. But no more beating a dead tractor. That was enough of the John Deere Classic. Still my fifth major. You should agree. It's my favorite golf tournament to watch. It's not a major or any of the other cool ones. There's a lot more over this one, but this one's a fun one. But we know you guys are here to talk about the Genesis Scottish Open. So let's get the caddy notes ready and break down the Renaissance Club. Mike, you know what you're going to do. You give us the lovely breakdowns. What is it about the Renaissance Club that we need to know?
Well, the first thing you need to know is that you're pronouncing it wrong.
Well, fine, correct me on it.
It's the Renaissance Club, I believe is how it's pronounced. The Renaissance Club in North Berwick, Scotland. Par 70, 7,300 yard mammoth that was designed and opened by Tom Doak, I believe, in 2008. This is, in my opinion, not even the best golf course in North Berwick, and probably not even in the top 20 in Scotland. And yet we are going to gush all over this like links golf course that's really a heartland prairie golf course that you would probably find in the central United States that we've just plopped. It's really not like we think it is. Like, we're going to Scotland and like we're going to get links golf, but as I'm saying, it's like this is an American golf course that was designed by an American and just built in Scotland, and it's fine. Like, I'm not like super excited to go watch this. I think the thing that makes the Scottish Open and specifically this version of it exciting is that it's the week before the Open Championship, and it kind of gives you this taste of coastal, windy, fescue laden golf that we're going to see a ton of at Royal Birkdale. And really the result of whatever happens here isn't indicative of what's going to happen the following week, but you get sort of that buildup of, okay, we're playing golf overseas. I see it now. The players are there, and the Open Championship starts to feel real. But like we just said, if you break down, okay, well, what does it mean that we're going to have this Heartland Prairie golf course disguised as links golf? Well, you get the rolling fairways, and you get tons of fescue. That's gonna cause some challenges. We've seen, Robert McIntyre and his win hit some ridiculous shots out of that long fescue. The wind is going to play a factor here. You don't have a ton of holes up the coast. 12, 13, and 14 do run up against the coastline on the back nine there. But you are still going to have that coastal wind that's going to be a factor. And then you do get the link style greens. So you do have the fescue greens that are big and undulated and slow. And so they're easy to hit. They're easy to chip around. There's not a lot that's being asked of on the greens. And I think as we get into what what you're going to need to find here. It's ultimately going to be ball striking and strong wind play, and we'll break that down too. But I think the good news is that this golf tournament, since it's become this DP World Tour, PGA Tour co-sanctioned event, has really brought together some fun finishes.
Mhm.
And it's obviously Gotterup got his win last year, but the whole like rivalry between Bobby Mack and Rory ripping his heart out with this 2-iron in 2023, and then coming back and getting his revenge the next year. I think it's actually become an exciting golf tournament to watch, even though the golf course is not what we're supposed to get when we're in Scotland. And I kind of wish they would just start rotating this one so we don't have to sort of fake this love of the Renaissance Club.
Yeah, it's a nice course. Like, don't get me wrong. You put me on it. You tell me I got a tee time tomorrow there and I'm next to the course. So I'm not going to complain. I'm going to be happy to play it. But I think you gave a great breakdown of kind of what it is. It's just kind of an uninspiring course for, like, if you want a true example of Scottish golf, of golf from that region. I don't think it's the best example of that. It's still a good course, right? Like, there's bunkers, plenty of bunkers that are in play. There's no holes with water. The water is not in play at this course whatsoever. It does rank on the harder side over the last 5 years, 13th toughest course on the PGA Tour, but it's fescue. The fairways are fescue, the rough's fescue, the greens are fescue. It's just a fescue mess, for lack of a better term. It does give you some exciting holes. We get a 600-yard par 5 this year. The par 3s, everything from 145 to 220. A good chunk of the par 4s. There's one at 347. The rest are going to play 420 plus. So it gives us good clustering in terms of, trying to figure out scoring at certain distances and kind of what to expect out of the course. But, as you said, just some great finishes, some great final events. Chris Gotterup, can he do it again? Make it 5 wins in a year? I don't know.
We'll talk about it. I mean, he's playing so good right now. The last thing I'll say about the golf course too is that and I know people love a Deere Manor in Ireland. But like, it doesn't feel Irish because it kind of inland and it's a lot of trees, but the people say it's got the purest conditions on earth. And that's kind of what I get here is like, I feel like I'm watching Erin Hills, and yet we're in Scotland. And it almost has this vibe of being like a ski resort that has artificially created these fancy European chalets, but I'm in the middle of the United States. And it's just, I know this is not right. And so again, I am here for the drama. I'm not here for the vista.
I'm in the same boat as you. So when it comes to kind of the stats that you're looking at this week, we kind of already went over some. I'm, like you mentioned, I'm looking at ball striking quite a bit. It's not weighed in my model at all, but I am looking at apex height. Players who can flight the ball through the windy conditions. That tends to go hand in hand with the windy conditions. So I am looking strokes gained total over players' careers in windy conditions. Looking also kind of history at some of the comp courses. But really, the model is not too different than we're typically getting here. I'm going ball striking in favor of approach, going short game in favor of around the green, and then I added approach putting in there. But otherwise, pretty straightforward model for me. Is anything unique for you this week?
Yeah, let me tell you what I did work in here. I actually did filter quite a few of my stats, especially the ball striking stats, approach, tee to green, driving distance, even on windy rounds, because I really wanted to lean towards players that are comfortable playing in the wind. I did throw in drives of 320 plus, the percentage of drives of 320 plus. I mean, I think distance here is going to be a huge factor. The course plays so firm. And so you sort of get this double benefit of one, it's a very long par 70. So driving distance is going to be important. And two, you get those runouts, you're getting into the shorter part of your bag. Right. And while I do have approach proximity 200 plus, this golf course does ask for a really good long iron play as well. I do think driving distance is going to be really important. And you can't just hit it all over the place. Right. But you got to be able to get it out there. And then again, as you get on these large green surfaces, 3-putt avoidance is another thing I mixed in. you have to be able to navigate. Slow greens can just be funky, and it can be really hard to putt from 60, 70 feet on slow greens. We see that in the British Open every year. So I threw that in there as well. And then my comp, this is what's tough is you go and play the Renaissance Club. Obviously you can comp this course. You can look at course history. I threw that in. But I wanted something that had regular tour stops that had some of these similar conditions. So I went tight. I went Memorial Park for the emphasis on distance and Texas wind. And then I went Pebble for like the coastal wind and coastal effect and small, but slow greens. And so that's one thing that my comp, tee to green comp, is going to be on just those two courses. And so that will play into as we start to get in the picks here. But again, I'm going to leave heavy on the driver play. It's common in the Open Championship to want guys that can grind around the greens. And I don't think you need that as much here as you need strong top of bag game.
Yeah, fully agree. But with that being said, let's get these clubs twirling. Let's start to look at the players this week. So looking at the books this week, starting off, Scotty's 5.5 to 1. They're finally saying Scotty's not as likely to win. I mean, he's still the betting favorite here, but he opens up at 5 to 5.5 to 1. Rory right around 10 to 1. And then we drop off from there. We get Jon Rahm, and then Xander. Really, the only guys who are consistently under 20 to 1. It's probably the most concise top of the board that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, it actually you actually start to feel better about it. You want to make a plant here and pop a few units on one of the guys in the top handful. I think it starts to feel okay to do that. I had to scratch my head a little bit. I'm like, wait, Jon Rahm and Trail Hadden are in the field, but they earned their status back on DP World Tour.
Correct.
Okay. And so, yeah, it's like we're so used to seeing them only in the majors. Then all of a sudden, yeah, that's right. Like we're starting to work back to these guys all playing more events together.
Yep. They paid their fines on the DP World Tour. They are members of the DP World Tour. So we get them in the field. It is it's a unique field, to say the least. It's obviously a strong field. There's no denying that. You get, a majority of the top players in the world, but you get, a lot of people who qualified in different ways. So, you get your Scotty, Rory, Matty Fitzpatrick, Gotterup, Wyndham, Tommy in the top 10 in the world, Rahm right there. But, you get Patrick Reed in this field as well, Tyrrell Hatton, as you mentioned. And then you start to get down there and you're like, oh, Casey Jarvis is here. Oh, Sean Norris is here. Oh, we've got Angel Iora. We're like, there's some names here that we don't have data for half the dudes in this field because they just, you don't see their name consistently on tour events that are measuring strokes gain data. And so it leads.
I thought Dylan Fratelli quit golf.
You
could bet him this week.
That's crazy. But I mean, and even a lot of these names, though, these are guys who you look at the tournament history and they've played the last four Genesis Scottish Opens here. And so, we do get guys who have familiarity with the field here, but you and I have the same thought on the top of the board, and that's Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy, roughly 10 to 1, depending on where you're looking. I think, when I said that I originally wanted really good wind players that are, dialed in on these types of greens, Rory, not that he's course proof. He is not the best wind player, but he is the best driver of the golf ball. And his worst finish at this golf tournament is 4th.
Yeah.
In 3 years. And so and as we talked about with the books, we think there's plenty of value up top. I think 10-1 is reasonable for a guy. And I think I put this in here is that he's plus 100 for a top 10. And his worst finish is 4th. So I actually think you're getting really good money, especially if you want to bet him top 5. That like it doesn't really matter what his stat profile looks like. He's the best driver of the ball, and he can play great in this golf course. Plus 196 on DraftKings for Rory in a top 5 seems reasonable.
Yeah, and even though he's, like you said, not necessarily the best profile, when we run the model, that's going to be Scotty every single week. But Rory came out second for me. He's 5th in ball striking, like you said, number 1 off the tee. Really, the only kind of questions in the profile. His par 5 birdies are better over his last 24 rounds have not been great. He's not been the best par 5 scorer in the world. And his approach putting, weirdly enough, on slow greens, his approach putting is 96th in the field, but he's also 2nd in strokes gained putting on slow greens. So he's just saying
9th in 3-putt avoidance.
Yeah, like the guy knows how to play these greens. I have him 9th on windy courses throughout his career. Through windy conditions for everything measured. Even on the comp courses that I have a more extensive list of comp courses here than you. I included, I've got Los Angeles Country Club, Erin Hills, Shinnecock, Royal Troon, Royal Liverpool, many, many more past that. But he's 13th in average finish on the list of comp courses that I have. Like I see no holes in the profile, and the fact that I can get plus money for Rory to top 10 a golf tournament. He's never finished worse than 4th at. I think that says pretty much everything it needs to say.
Yep.
Next up for you, which I'm saying for you, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to go this route with my card, but he is 4th in my model. Wyndham Clark going off 32-1 on DraftKings right now. It's actually down to 31 as of time of recording, but still 30 plus to 1 for a guy who just won a golf tournament 2 weeks ago.
If I was, so a couple of thoughts here. First, I have him 3rd in my model. And the only player that charted in the top 40 in the field in the 8 or so stats that I have factored in here at this point. And so consistently, he's doing all the right things, which is hitting the ball well off the tee, hitting the ball well with his long irons, and getting it done on the green and getting it done in windy conditions. The thing that I like the most is that we just previewed this course as being this American golf course disguised in Scotland. It feels a lot like a Shinnecock. You just talked about it in your comp set. This guy just dominated at Shinnecock. Oh, it feels a lot like Los Angeles Country Club. Oh, he won a U.S. Open there too. And so this is the kind of golf course, and I talked about it like all week for the U.S. Open, is he plays so well on golf courses that don't force him out of his comfort zone off the tee, which is to just hit these, slinging slices 330 yards down the fairway. And so I don't know. I haven't done enough on what Wyndham's fit is at Royal Birkdale, but everything that we factored in here for the Renaissance Club, I think Wyndham is a really good fit, and 4 top 25s in this golf tournament his last 4 times out.
Yeah, he's clearly comfortable here. The only thing that pops up as a concern for him is approach putting on slow greens. He's 79th in the field there. If you change that from rank to strokes gain data, it's still right around neutral. Like, it's not a major flaw. It's just, but some of the people in the field are just that much better.
Has he ever putted on these greens with a brand new Ping Scottsdale with 8 pounds of lead tape on the bottom?
He has not. So we shall see.
See what happens.
Can we briefly touch on that? Like, he was bragging about having the heaviest putter on tour, and then a lot of people were like, you don't want a heavy putter. My putter now is the heaviest putter that I've ever used, and it's the best putter I've ever had in my bag. I'm just saying.
There used to be a putter called the heavy putter, and I remember. It was before like all the other counterbalancing stuff existed, and I was a caddy, and I remember my player holding it up here and then letting it swing down as I walked behind him and taking one right off the ankle bone with the heavy putter.
Yeah, very heavy putter. I found this online now, and it honestly looks like I would love it. So can't say it's a bad thing. And there's a 250 gram metal slug that sits beneath the grip of every model. Hey, man, it works. It works for me. It works for Wyndham. I mean, we're basically the same putter, right? Like I'm on tour, not on tour. I'm not even going to continue with that joke. But yeah, just the profile is phenomenal. And the few times I've been on Wyndham this year, good things have happened. So probably going to end up leaning that route as well. But moving on from him, both of us on the guy, shouldn't surprise anybody who has listened to this show at any point in time. Alex Fitzpatrick going 57-1. Is he ever going to stop being a better golfer than his brother on the PGA Tour?
Unfortunately, I have Matt modeled slightly higher than Alex, but I think the thing here, if you just want to, like you said, let the dream keep going. This is like a guy that's been fantastic on the road for his team, and all of a sudden gets to start a home game in front of a crowd that's going to pump him up. Like now we're going on his turf where he's gotten himself to this point, and he was having a great year on the DP World Tour. I'm really excited to see how he does at this golf tournament, coming in with the form that he has. He has 2 missed cuts here, but he was nowhere near the player that he was the past 2 years. He's on an incredible run. And he does the things, his special sauce right now is mashing the driver extremely straight, extremely long, and playing great with his long irons. And the rest of it, he'll try to figure out. He's the kind of guy that's kind of swinging his swing and playing his own game. But I love taking all the momentum and putting it in an environment where he is very, very comfortable.
Yeah, he's top 15 or better in a good chunk of the stats that I have this week. His worst stat being, as we have said, he's missed 2 cuts here. His average finish here is not great. It's not weighed in my model this week. It's just something that I wanted to include in there. So, if I'm kind of deciding between a couple guys that I really like in a spot, seeing, something like that could lean one way or another. But he's got, quite a few things going for him. He's hitting driver better than he ever has. His iron play has been spectacular. It's not uncommon to see the man gaining 6 strokes over a tournament. And since he got his card, he's gone T9, T4, T75 at the PGA, T6, T20, T23, T7. Like, I think we can officially put to bed the he doesn't belong on tour argument. He's only here because of his brother thing. Like, the guy has been one of the best golfers on the PGA Tour since he got to the PGA Tour. We're talking about a guy who opened 2026 outside the top 150 in the official world golf rankings, really outside the top, actually opened it outside the top 200. And he's worked his way up to 62nd in the official world golf rankings. He's been on tour for, as we just mentioned, 6 actual PGA Tour events, 5 if you don't count the Zurich and the US Open and PGA Championship. And the man is 17th in FedEx Cup points with 5 tournaments that legitimately count towards FedEx Cup. He has been playing insane golf.
I should have, I want to say back when the first time he played with his brother in the Zurich, which I think was 2 years ago, I want to say he was in like the 600s. Like he was deep on the OWGR.
Let me look. So it's 2023 is when he last played. So yeah, he's listed at 500 plus.
Okay.
On Data Golf.
And so, like, yeah, and this can happen, right? Good finishes can shoot you up that ranking very, very quickly. It's a fascinating story, and I love digging into exactly how golf, like the switch can just flip and it all makes sense, and you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that's why I wholly want to back him at 57-1 this week, because like I said, you're getting the right profile now in a setting that feels perfect for him. And at 57-1, he's shown he can compete. And if you're not comfortable with that, just go ahead and back it up with a top 10 finish, because nobody will be surprised when he's, T7 on this one.
Yeah. And him top 10ing will pay you out 5-1 on FanDuel. So it's a good little hedge if you're worried about the 57-1 hitting. This is one where you were kind of between 2 guys. One of those guys was Adam Scott, one of them Shane Lowry. And I made a bit of an executive decision here because this is kind of a flag plant for me this week. Shane Lowry, 70-1. I'm kind of just riding with it. And it's not like his profile is bad. He's 23rd in my model. There's things to really, his problem in the model is there's nothing carrying him. There's nothing holding him down really besides driving distance to an extent. But this is also a course where players who don't drive the ball as far can be just fine because of some of the other factors. Like we mentioned, the course playing extremely firm and getting some rollout on the drives. So I've seen guys like Tom Kim, who I'll talk about in a minute here, play their way, play good golf here. It's where we've seen some other guys. I think it's part of what made Chris Gotterup so deadly here last year too, is he hits a lower driver than a lot of players, even with his speed. And so I'm, kind of between the two. Adam Scott's 25th in my model. He's going off 70-1 as well, pending book. So these are two guys who are kind of right there. Where was your coin flip between the two? Like, what was it about those two that you were kind of like between both of them?
Well, they're both right in the same spot on the board, like you said. They're within a few points of each other, and I think excellent course history here at the Scottish Open. I think we had 3 top 20s between them. I had them top 10 in a number of factors. I think they play a slightly different game. Like Adam plays a little more prototypical high ball flight, high driver, straight and long. Shane has a little more creativity, like Chris Gotterup. Hits the ball a lot shorter than Chris Gotterup. Probably, honestly, Shane is probably more similar to a Robert McIntyre path to victory, which is, I don't know if I can hit it that far. I might be a little crooked. Shane's a very straight driver of the ball, but gosh, I'm going to get it up and down from everywhere. And I'm going to putt really well. The thing that's holding me back on both of them is I never seem to get them right. I look at them every week. They fit the models perfectly. And then when I decide to go in, they just poo their pants. Like I don't understand why I get these guys so wrong.
It's Adam Scott, especially for me, like Lowry, definitely. And I think that it's kind of the nature of both of their games, especially when I'm scrolling through both of them on the model. They're just both consistent. Like there's no crazy high peaks. There's no crazy low valleys in the model. So I think they're just consistent play does kind of force them up the board a little bit. But at the same time, like, Shane Lowry this year has not been a consistent player. This is a guy who had 2 top 10s and a runner-up finish in his first 3 starts of the year and then missed 2 cuts. And then, a few middling finishes there, missed cut, starts to pick it back up again, missed the cut at the US Open, bounced back last week at the Travelers, or 2 weeks ago at the Travelers. Like, it's just so up and down. And I think Adam Scott has been a lot of the same this year. But the profile screen consistent.
They do, and I think this is. I'm making this comparison off the cuff. I have no idea if this works. I'm a huge UVA college basketball fan, and for a long time, UVA got crushed in the media for being an extremely slow basketball team. Yeah, the slow worked because it was consistent and predictable, and you could win a lot of games playing slow. The problem was if you got behind, you had no firepower to go get yourself back in it. And I do wonder if that's kind of what happens in this, is when you have such consistent profiles, you don't have the ceiling, you don't have the firepower to get yourself to go on these big runs in these events. I think Scott did it a couple of times this year where he backdoored some finish because he shot 64 on Sunday. But I think that's the challenge, is that you can't ever catch these guys going and making a run at the top because they so easily kind of fall back to the middle by the end of the event. So I probably need to find another spot to go. Maybe it's DFS. Like maybe I'm looking at some lower ownership on Lowry or Scott and just trying to create more of a floor in a lineup than I am we just go back to Fitz has got the firepower. Like Lil Fitz can go and win this golf tournament because he can annihilate the field with his irons and make a ton of birdies. I don't see the same happening with either of these guys.
Yeah, they're right around 50th for me, birdie or better percentage. So it's like they're making the birdies they're supposed to. They're making more birdies than, field average, but at the same time, like, it's just not enough. Like they feel like guys who need other players to falter more than they're going to win a golf tournament.
It's a great way to put it. I like that.
Like they need a Ben Coles blow up on 16 or 18 of a player, right there in contention, somebody goes and, I don't know, goes double bogey. Like, they need somebody to blow up more than they're just going to have the firepower to win a tournament. And is that true? Maybe. Is it true? Maybe not. We'll find out. But I do agree with you. I think DFS is probably more the route to go with either of these guys. As you mentioned, being so cheap DFS wise, like the ownership's probably going to be much more favorable. Both of those guys are going off at $7,800 on DraftKings. So easy to fit them in the lineup. As I alluded to, I'm going with Tom Kim here. I think the number is favorable, going off at 86 to 1, sound 84 now. So the market is tending to agree with me a little bit, but it's a profile that fits this golf course well. When you think of Tom Kim, right? Like, been inconsistent. The irons have really always been strong. It's just kind of been the other parts of his game that have held him back a little bit. Like, he's 11th in the field for me in ball striking. He's 18th from 200 plus, but he's 26th in putting on these slow greens. He's a top 25 player in windy conditions. He's played well here. There's absolutely no denying that. I mean, you look at, you're hard pressed to find a guy with the history of a Tom Kim at this event. We're talking about a guy who's got, multiple top 10 finishes here. A guy who's never finished worse than 17th here, which was last year. Like, this is an event that even when he's been playing bad golf, he just comes and plays well here. And I think you could overall argue he's playing good golf of late. Solo third at the US Open, T46 at the John Deere Classic, didn't putt well, but everything else was mostly fine. But like, this is just a course he's played well in his career.
It is. And honestly, you normally say the driver is what holds him back. And I think in general, I think the thing that we didn't discuss is impact on the weather, and not so much as like completely blowing up draws like you're going to have potentially at the Open Championship. But it will come down to, is the golf course playing firm enough that a guy like Tom Kim, without a lot of distance off the tee, can get the ball out there enough to hang on a long golf course? Or does some of that come back and bite him? Does the course soften up and he loses some of that advantage? I don't, go back to now, first of all, do we credit his third place? I believe his third place 4 years ago was under the name Jooyoung Kim. He was not yet Tom Kim.
That's a good point.
Is he the same player? Is he the same player? I'm almost positive. Did Xander win that? Was that the year that Xander won?
No, I feel like it was Xander, Kitayama, and Kim.
Yeah, and I remember watching that and seeing Tom Kim. That was one of the first times he really made himself known. Obviously, I think he was, let's see, how old is he at the time? He was, he would have been 19. He's only 24 now. Yeah, he was like 19 at that golf tournament. So, he's been playing great golf. I think you talked about a guy who has the course history here that rivals no one. We talked about Rory probably having the best, and you get him at about 10x the value. So, sure, he can play this golf course well.
Why not Tom Kim, huh? That's what I'm asking.
For the next two guys, we're going to be saying why these guys.
Yeah, it's much more why. Although I think I can make a little bit of a stronger argument for Bud Cauley than a lot of people may expect.
I like this. Yeah, I like this.
He's 11th in my model. Another guy who's kind of in that Lowry Adam Scott vein, where like nothing is really carrying their profile, nothing's really holding the profile back too heavily. But where I'm kind of planting a flag a bit more on Cauley is the short game is really good. The bogey avoidance numbers have been phenomenal, and he's about field average in terms of scoring. Top 30 putter on slow greens, so leaning that way as well. But he's the 4th ranked wind player in my model. And I think I'm just going to kind of lean into that being the calling card of the profile for me, is when the wind picks up, because it will. It's not going to not play windy here. But Bud Cauley is a guy who we've seen in contention this year. We saw him win the RBC Canadian Open, T14 just a couple weeks ago at the Travelers. He's got another top 10 at the RBC Heritage. Maybe just bet him at RBC events. I don't know. But the profile's not bad. It's very strong. He's 11th in the model for a reason. And just to get 10 to 1 on him, I can't think of a reason not to be interested at minimum.
When I saw Bud Cauley in your notes, I had the vision of him hitting that shot out of the long grass
Yep.
at TPC Toronto, and I was like, man, this guy plays those linksy prairie heartland golf courses really well. This feels like a perfect fit. I didn't comp in TPC Toronto, but like the golf course feels somewhat similar, a little more open here in Scotland. And yeah, like he's shown the ability a couple times. Where did I dog him? I think it was at Doral. I think he had a good finish at Doral when I was like, or no, it was Quail Hollow. I was like,
Yeah.
God, there's no way he can hang up at Quail Hollow. He ended up finishing T37, but like he has shown the ability, despite not hitting the ball all that far,
Mm.
to hang in on these venues where you need to hit the driver really well.
Well, and I think that's part of why he's played a little bit better this year. He's been consistently gaining a little bit of distance on the field. He's certainly picked up another gear. I'm actually going to click on his profile here on BetSperts and just kind of see what the driving distance looks like. He's hitting it 300 pretty consistently this year. It's up, from 2020. He's up 10 yards of distance. He's up 7 miles an hour of ball speed. Like he's certainly found more speed, or at least, found equipment that can help him gain some of that speed. And he's done that without really giving up any other part of his game either. Like the irons have been incredibly consistent. The ball striking numbers consistent for him, around the green. Very similar player to what he was in 2020, slightly worse putter than he was then, but putting comes and goes. He's got years where he's been very good and years where he's been horrid. His first year on tour, he lost nearly a stroke around with the putter. So, he's been a bit of an up and down player, but I mean, he's a guy who's got to win this year, multiple top 10s this year. 10-1. Why not? I've spent $3 in worse ways. Last up for us. This one is definitely more of we're asking ourselves why instead of why not. But Max Greyserman 145-1. I'm going to make you convince me a little bit on this one because I'm out personally.
Yeah. Like,
being out on him is weird because I'm in on Cauley 11th in my model, Greyserman 12th in my model, but I'm just mentally out. Greyserman is my other Adam Scott, where it's like every time I like him, he misses the cut by 12.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I actually have him a little bit lower in my model, and it's great that you have him actually 12th. I have him 37th, but I think you start to squint. We're looking at 100 to 150-1 here in a golf tournament that I think will be won by one of your stronger elite or next level tour players. But if you're trying to find a guy to mix into a card in a place bet, or even on the DFS side. I have Max as, he's been volatile this year. He has a T9, he has a T14, and a second all the way back last year at the Bay Current. Like he has the ability to get into the last couple of groups on Sunday. He's just been incredibly consistent. A bunch of missed cuts, and he'll go on a run where he'll make 5 or so cuts and have a nice finish. But he hits the ball plenty long for me. I liked his win numbers. I had him in my model here as 25th in wind, in overall win players, and then top 20 in drives over 320 and driving distance, and 14th in long iron play. And so again, if I'm looking for guys at 150-1, Max Greyserman coming off of a miscut at the John Deere, coming off of a miscut at the RBC Canadian. We made the cut at the US Open, missed the cut at the Charles Schwab. Like, I'm hoping to try to catch him back where he's done this every 4 or 5 events to sort of come back into form. But you're right. Like it's tough to pick these guys at 150, but Max is a guy that I think could be okay here.
Yeah, I agree with you. When you're in this range of the board, it's just gross in general. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're looking at guys like him, Sepp Straka, Tom McKibben, Mac Meisner, Haotong Lee, Henny Duplessis. Like it's not a fun board. There's nobody here that you're really looking at. Like, yeah, his profile tells me he could win the golf tournament, but like Greyserman's got an argument. I mean, he's 12th in the model for a reason.
But there's a number of guys, like if you want to even go a little bit deeper, and I think this is kind of where our cards top out, there are a number of guys that have like plenty of win equity And you do start to scratch your head a little bit of like, sure, Greyserman has the reps against the PGA Tour fields, and he's played well at times this year. But like, you can go further down, and you can get Nick Taylor, the dog of all dogs, at 175. And you can get some guy, we talked about Casey Jarvis of having a really solid year on the DP World Tour at 250. Your younger brother, John Perry, at 280. Like, there are
older brother. He is older.
Oh, he's your older brother.
Older
he is
brother.
Older than you. Sorry. Yeah.
By about 10 years.
And then the other challenge that you'll have here, and I should go back here and look at a couple of the past finishes, is you have a bunch of names that you can barely pronounce, which means we're going to automatically not roster them in DFS. We're not going to put them on our cards because we have no idea who, Ewan Ferguson is, or Oliver Lindell, or Alejandro Del Rey, because we don't follow DP World Tour. And I will say there's a bit of homework to be done, just like that'd be the case at the Open Championship, to make sure you're not sleeping on guys having really good seasons, like a Casey Jarvis, in an opportunity to play well on home soil.
Yeah, and I think
South
that's
African.
That's a great way to look at it. I mean, there's certainly, we look at 2025, Gotterup winning definitely, brought his name to the forefront for a lot of people. That was a lot of people's first introduction to Marco Penge. But besides that, the top 10, it's names we knew. It was Rory, it was Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Rose, Sepp Straka, Xander, Scotty, Ludwig. And then you go to 2024 and you get your Bobby McIntyre winning over Adam Scott, and then you get Romain Langasque, I don't know. You get Aaron Rye pop up there kind of before he was, really known as the player he is today. A lot of guys in contention in the top 4 there. 2023, Benny On, David Lingmerth, who he finished T3. Forrest Grant 11th that year. So, it's not uncommon for these guys and to have some good finishes here. This is an event where Cameron Tringdale, Jamie Donaldson, and Brandon Wu all tied with Matt Fitzpatrick. Like, it wouldn't surprise me by any means to see some of these names pop up that we're not talking about. Obviously, leaning into the guys that we know a little bit more, but there's no question that this is a field that is unique, and some of these small names may not be so small to a lot of golf sickos after this week. But that is all of the picks that we have this week. Before we go, however, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at FantasySpin.
Spin, pick, win.
For those of you who are not familiar with FantasySpin, if you want a different kind of daily fantasy experience, FantasySpin lets you spin your lineups, make your picks, and compete in tournaments based on real player performances. Like a slot machine, you can hit the jackpot. Unique game combines the skill of drafting DFS lineup with a captifying gamified experience. You can enter contests, spin your DFS lineups to win big. Whether you're playing for free or for cash, FantasySpin has you covered. Check the link in the description and use promo code IBTGolf and deposit at least $10 and play one tournament. And that gets you $30 in bonus play. With that, again, IBT Golf, deposit $10, play one tournament, $30 in bonus play. This directly supports the program. It supports FantasySpin, and it lets us make some noise for the rest of the season. So before we go, we do want to give you guys a bit of a look at what FantasySpin has to offer. So I'm going to go ahead and get us over to the other layout so we can get this going.
While you pull that up, did you see who finished second in the main event last week at the JDC?
Your boy Mike Kosiek.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah. It's I've last 2 weeks have been starting to make some money again on FantasySpin.
There you go. You love to see it. So let me go ahead and get this up on the screen for people so they can see the fun that is FantasySpin and see why we love it so much. So here is FantasySpin, everybody. So I'm just doing a practice spin for us here so you can kind of see what the event looks like. Mike, you can vouch for this. In the main event, we typically get 10 spins in these practice games here. We only get 5, but this is what it looks like. It spins. This is MLB. This is the wrong thing. I think I'm entering an MLB lineup right now. This is funny. Haha. All right. We are going to give me 1 second here. And we are going to.
Those guys aren't going to do very well this week in the Scottish.
It's true. But maybe they do. Maybe that's the key is we just actually play MLB players and then we can't go wrong. All right, here we go. Now we're talking. So it spins the players for you and you get pop-ups like this. If I had the sound on here, you would hear the alarm bells go off, much like you are playing a slot machine, that it says Patrick Cantlay. He's their 12th player in the projections. But you don't have to pick any of these guys if you don't want. You can continue spinning. You can lock a guy in. So I'll show you. Again, this is a practice lineup, so I'll show you what it looks like. And you know what? I don't hate Chris Wrighton this week. So we're going to go with him as well. And then we're going to go ahead and spin. We get Suitor Sean, Yellow Miraju, Suitor McGavin, as we have been affectionately calling him. I like him this week. I don't think he's going to win, but for DFS purposes, I don't hate it. We're going to continue spinning here. And you know what? I'm over it. I don't want Wrighton in there anymore. I don't want Cantlay anymore. And it's that easy to unlock them from your lineup. And that gives me more opportunities to get a player that I'm interested in. We get John Rahm on the projections, 8th. I like John Rahm this week. I like Tom Kim this week. I've gone over it. We're going to lock him into the lineup too. We're going to go ahead and spin these 3 on the right. That's what I'm talking about. I can't pronounce that name. Odogwe. That's what I'm going with. It's probably wrong. I apologize. Forrest, fun fact, that was my nickname growing up. Used to be really slow. And so my parents would yell, "Run, Forrest, run." And that was the unfortunate baseball nickname I was stuck with until college. And David Puig, don't hate him. Don't like him this week. We're going to continue to spin. Premier Lal, Bischow, Seam. Nope. We're going to keep spinning here. Hopefully we get lucky with something. Kitayama's got a runner-up finish here. Why not? Good ball striker. Can't putt to save his life half the time. That's why a lot of people don't.
You're not going to keep my guy Casey Jarvis, huh?
I'll do it if you want me to.
I'd spin this one.
Yeah, I have 3 spins left. Danny Willett and Chris Kirk. Nah, I'm good. Sahith and Alex Fitzpatrick.
Oh, there we go. We're done.
And here's what we do. I have 1 spin left. You get 10 spins. The 5 spins that was confusing me was for baseball. That makes more sense. Over here in the PGA, you get 10 spins, and I can just lock the lineup here, even though I have 1 more lineup. So with that being said, it shows you your projected finish. It shows you your team's projected points and gives you a ranking for your team. So you can see pre-event where you stack up against the competition. And then from here, it is just like your standard DFS lineup. You are going to get points based off of the performance of the players, if they go on streaks, if they, good performances get rewarded by the players. But the thing I love about FantasySpin that you don't get from other DFS platforms, say tomorrow night, Sahith Theegala withdraws from the tournament, doesn't even make his tee time. I get Sahith's projected total of 65.8 locked into my lineup no matter what. So that is one of the nice things that FantasySpin does that you don't always get with the other platforms. And it's one of the things I do appreciate. As you saw with the MLB side of things, they have a variety of sports. They have NBA, NASCAR, NHL, NFL. You get your sports fix, your DFX fix with all of them. But again, make sure to check them out. Link is in the description below. Code is IBT Golf. Deposit $10 and play at least 1 tournament, and you will get $30 in bonus play. But that is it from Mike and I this week. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.